So the early church in Jerusalem, right after Stephen's death, faced this really brutal period.
Yeah, real bitter persecution, as the text calls it. It just scattered believers, didn't it?
It really did, all over Judea and Samaria. Interestingly, only the apostles seem to have stayed behind in Jerusalem itself.
Well, at the same time, you have these devout people ensuring Stephen gets the proper burial, mourning him.
A moment of respect right before things get even worse.
Exactly. Because then Saul steps in, and it's quite chilling, raiding homes, arresting people, men and women alike, just throwing them into prison.
It paints a picture of real targeted aggression against the church, a serious threat.
Definitely. But here's the twist, isn't it?
Yeah.
This very persecution meant to stamp out the movement.
It actually fuels its spread. As people scattered, they started preaching the good news wherever they landed. It's kind of ironic.
It really is. Like Philip, for example, he ends up in a Samaritan town.
And it wasn't like some big planned mission trip, right? It was because he had to flee.
Precisely. Displacement led to outreach. And the reception there was, well, pretty remarkable.
The text says they unanimously welcomed the message. Why such a warm welcome?
Well, it wasn't just words. They had apparently heard about the miracles, but then...
They saw them firsthand? That seems key.
Absolutely. Tangible proof. Things like unclean spirits coming shrieking out, people being healed, paralytics, cripples. You know, dramatic stuff.
Powerful signs that clearly resonated.
And the outcome. Great rejoicing in that town. It shows how those actions really validated Philip's message for them.
It's a strong link between the message and visible divine power.
Which actually connects nicely to the responsorial psalm. It shifts perspective, calling for universal praise. Acclaim God, all the earth.
A really broad invitation, and asks everyone to sing psalms to the glory of his name, to glorify him with your praises.
Yeah, and it grounds his praise in God's sheer power. How awesome you are, it says. His achievements are the measure of that power.
It even mentions enemies kind of bowing down or offering favor because of it.
Right. The psalm paints this picture of total universal worship. All the earth bows down before you, sing psalms to you.
It's very sweeping. Then it gets personal, doesn't it? An invitation. Come and see the marvels of God.
Exactly. See his awesome deeds for the children of Adam. It's inviting you to witness.
And it gives these classic examples, changing the sea into dry land, crossing the river on foot, the big stories of God's intervention.
Foundational acts of salvation history. And the response it calls for is natural. So let us rejoice in him.
Connects past deeds to present joy.
And it wraps up by underlining God's eternal rule, his watchfulness over nations, keeping rebellion in check. It's about enduring authority.
So we see God's power in action in Acts, celebrated universally in the psalm and then the gospel reading. It shifts again to Jesus himself.
Yes, with that profound declaration, I am the bread of life.
Such a core statement. No one who comes to me will ever hunger. No one who believes in me will ever thirst. It promises complete fulfillment.
But then, almost immediately, there's this tension. Jesus acknowledges, but as I have told you, you can see me, and still you do not believe.
It's that paradox, isn't it? Seeing isn't automatically believing. Faith involves something more.
It seems to point towards maybe a divine element in belief itself.
Yeah.
Jesus says, everyone whom the Father gives me will come to me.
I will certainly not reject anyone who comes to me. That suggests a kind of drawing, a divine gifting.
And it clarifies his own purpose. He says, I have come from heaven not to do my own will, but to do the will of him who sent me.
Total alignment with the Father's mission.
And that mission, that will, is specified.
Yeah.
That I should lose nothing of all that he has given to me.
But that I should raise it up on the last day. It's a promise of security, of ultimate preservation. No one gets lost.
It culminates really in that final statement about the Father's will. Whoever sees the Son and believes in him should have eternal life.
And that I should raise that person up on the last day. It ties seeing, believing, and the promise of resurrection and eternal life all together.
It's quite a powerful sequence when you put it all together. You have this initial crisis in Acts.
Right, the persecution.
That unexpectedly leads to growth, fueled by these visible signs of power. Then the psalm broadens that perspective to God's universal awesome power.
And finally, the gospel focuses it on Jesus as the source of life itself, the fulfillment of God's will, offering eternal life through belief in him.
It really makes you consider how adversity can sometimes be the very thing that sparks wider reach, and how different expressions of faith and divine power connect across these narratives.